Hello, everyone. It's Liz with Galileo. I have a special guest today. I have Wendy Rudd, who is zooming in from Los Angeles. Hi, Wendy. How are you today?
Hi, Liz. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
I'm super glad to have you because you have this amazing daughter named Avila, and she's 11, right?
Yes.
Almost 12. And she joined Galileo a few months ago. I think she was referred to us from a friend who was referred to us from another friend. So we love that word of mouth kind of thing going on. I just wanted to chat with you today to learn more about how Avila was learning before she joined Galileo and how she's learning now. So can you tell me, start from the beginning, like when she was young, did you always want to homeschool her? How did you get to that decision?
Sure. Okay, so yes, we did always want to homeschool. And we were living in Virginia when she was born. My husband is active duty Coast Guard. And so when we lived there, we did a lot of exploring. I mean, she was 3.5 when we left for Virginia, the DC area. So she does have a lot of good memories of lots of exploration and outside time. And we just carried that over the same once we moved to the Bay Area. And we had so many fun parks to explore, and we were at the library all the time. It was a beautiful walking community where we were living. And I think that she just really thrived in the outdoors. And so we were outside as much as possible. And we did some other things also along the way, because our journey to understanding what self-directed learning was gradual. And so there was a period of time when we were in classical conversations, which is a classical model of memorization, and as the years get older, of some pretty rigorous writing and grammar programs. And so we have done some of that as well. And several years ago, we moved to Los Angeles. And when we came here, she got involved with a program called Mastery Quest, and it's local. And basically, it's a live action role play game that was outdoors, and it was very extensive, and the director was amazing when it came to creating these storylines, and it was all mixed in with martial art and tons of physical exercise. They had to move physically to move in the game, and so it was a great 3 years that she spent doing that. And
How old was she during that time?
So that was probably 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grades.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was a great program. It was only a couple hours most days of the week, but we still had to then do academics when we came home. And so that's where I was still imposing on her my ideas of what she needed to be learning at different grade levels. So we would continue to do a math curriculum and some writing and some grammar. And the program didn't provide all of that. It did gradually over time in different ways, but covering curriculum as a whole was not its purpose. It was more of doing this live action role play part. Mm-hmm. So honestly, though, it equipped her in so many ways. It really focused on the theory of multiple intelligences. And so she was really able to grow in so many ways that weren't primarily academic because of the social interactions required of playing this game. So it was really genius. And she really learned a lot about herself and how to direct herself with other people. So all in all, it was an amazing program. And so then we were really looking for something where she could explore her interests. And so when COVID hit, we became so isolated so quickly. Even though there's, so many opportunities to do things, it all stopped. And so when Galileo came, it seemed like the perfect timing and the perfect opportunity. In addition, what I liked about Galileo is that it was going to allow me to step out of that role as directing her education. I think there's always been a bit of a conflict with us. She's an only girl child, and she's very independent and bright, and she would redecorate my home and plan my schedule if I let her. So me then trying to come back on her and say, hey, you need to learn this math, or you need to do this writing, there was always resistance. And she loves me as a mother. I'm not sure she was thrilled with me as her teacher. And so we never wanted to go into traditional school settings. That was not something that we were interested in doing for a variety of reasons. But at the same time, for me being her primary educator, that also wasn't the greatest solution.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that Galileo was so appealing because it felt like, and this was my initial idea about it, which has come true, is that there are many motivated and kind professionals that are now influencing her and teaching her and challenging her. But unlike other platforms we were using online, it's an actual community. So she sees the same adults and she gets to interact with them. Mm-hmm. So I think that prior to Galileo, we were doing a wide variety of things mm-hmm. that all really culminated in needing to find something more. And so that's when Galileo became really a good alternative.
Okay, so, but let's step back what you were doing before Galileo. Was she doing any online classes, like OutSchool or other things? Did she?
She was, right. So this last year, we were not doing the live action role play game. So we were doing a variety of things in the community. And
I imagine that Los Angeles has a very active homeschooling community, right?
It does. There are endless possibilities, but then you're driving all over town too. Yeah. So I think that she enjoyed OutSchool classes, and that was a good thing. There are a lot of great teachers on OutSchool. And then we also were doing local classes that we were going to, mm-hmm. 3D modeling, we were doing Girl Scouts, things like that, where she had a lot of friends.
Yeah.
In-life friends, in-person
right.
friends.
Right.
That's something we don't seem to have right now, but that's due to the restrictions.
Right. Okay, got it. Okay, so then you jumped on board with Galileo, and it's working out so far. I know that she has really blossomed in a few different ways. I mean, whenever I kind of hear her in the background, because she's in the same class as one of my girls, is she's definitely a leader. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I think she has been creating lessons on Google Slides before we came into Galileo, but she never had anybody to share them with, or she wanted to create so many different digital like classrooms or experiences, and then she never had an audience. So I'm not saying that she has an audience now with Galileo, but she does have a network where she can do these types of things, whether it's in the check-in that is every morning, where once a month she gets to do her own presentation, or in other ways. I feel that she does have a chance to be a leader and to have interaction with other kids that is where they're sharing what it is that they're making and doing. So right. I think that has worked out very well for her. Yeah. And a whole year ago, actually, she had started a website about plants with another friend of hers. And so I just was really interested in how she taught herself how to make a website on Wix. And then she would write the blog posts, and she would only need me to edit for spelling or punctuation. Mm-hmm. But really the whole project was hers. And I think that was one of the biggest turning points for me, to realize that she had these projects, similar things to this as well, that she was working on, that I almost did not allow to be as important as the curriculum that I was trying to say she needed to do, whether that was a particular math program or a writing program. And I think that it really began to dawn on me that her own interests were leading her down a path of learning that was completely valid and completely important to who she was going to become as an adult. Yeah. So I was just really happy that I could help in the ways that I could help, but that I also learned that I could step back a bit, mm-hmm. and I could trust and allow her learning to be self-directed, mm-hmm. instead of having to hold on to the reins and be like, no, you have to know this at this grade level, and you have to be able to do this. And I think that it's really turned out well that she is so independent, and I can help her probably the best by getting out of the way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
allowing her
a lot of homeschool parents go through what you have, but they kind of stick with the traditional way where the parent holds the reins. And as the kids get older and more independent, they're needing less of you, which is a good thing. It's developmentally appropriate, and they, they're taking more charge of the learning. Especially for kids who have always been homeschooled. We sometimes meet with kids who went to a public or private school for many years. It's and then all of a sudden they're homeschooled, so it's a little bit of harder transition for them, especially if they're getting into self-directed learning, because they don't know what their interests are. They don't know what their passions are, because that choice was taken away from them for a while ago. So it is a natural progression, I think, with a typical homeschooling family, where the kids get more into their own learning. And I love what you're saying, just get out of the way and let them do it, and just be there to facilitate, not to so much be a teacher, but to be like a partner, a coach, a guide.
Right. And even in some ways a curator, because I can bring different things to her that are of high quality. Mm-hmm. But what I'm finding is that I don't even need to. Mm-hmm. She is so inquisitive and capable online right now, mm-hmm. that she researched how to start a podcast. And so she found a free platform online, and she started making a podcast that she has had several recordings, a good handful. Yeah. And then I didn't realize that on Spotify, basically anybody can post. So I can share it with the grandparents and other friends, and it's right on Spotify. So, but she taught all of that herself. I didn't come to her and say, you should learn this.
Right. Yeah. And she is now going to be leading the new Galileo student podcast.
So I think that is the plan. Right. I think they're working on that as well. And that's another thing that is a great fit with Galileo, is that if the students have an interest, they are given a platform to form a group, to form a club, mm-hmm. and that they would even bring in somebody who is professional and who has experience in that to help the kids understand even further how to do something like that. And so I think that it's good when it can come from other people, not just, I could help her and figure it out as well. But mm-hmm. I think, like what you said, as the kids are getting older, independence from parents is more and more appropriate. Mm-hmm. And even though they're under the same roof a large part of the day, especially now with the restrictions of movement, that it's great that she can be online and interacting with other adults and other kids. So I find that to be very valuable.
No, I agree as well. And, I think with the clubs that the students are launching, it's their ideas, and they're the student lead. I mean, of course, there's an adult facilitator in there to help out. That is the way of the future. I mean, kids are helping each other. They're teaching each other, and they're helping each other learn, and that's the beauty of group self-directed learning, So for people who don't know how Galileo works, the kids have a daily check-in. It's more of an accountability session. It's about a half an hour. And then they can pick and choose from various clubs and nano degrees, which are project-based classes. And then they spend time on their own learning on whatever online platform they want, whether it's Khan Academy or Duolingo, or offline things, if they do arts and crafts or gardening or whatever their projects are. So, and then they just, meet again regularly as a group. So do you feel like this format works for Avila?
I think that it works very well for her, and she has enjoyed the presentations nano degree. And right now they're doing the digital citizenship, which is a very appropriate one because they are online now and leaving a footprint, and they need to understand exactly what that means. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be very informative. And then she also enjoys the student-led clubs, cooking and the social club, and art, I think, are the student-led ones that she's doing right now. And so every week they pick a recipe for the cooking club, and then they come back and maybe eat it together and play some games. And so I find that to be very fun for her, because that also includes something that's hands-on as well as being on technology. Yeah. And she's, go ahead.
What other clubs and nano degrees or clubs is she participating on a regular basis?
I feel like she's pretty much tried them all out, and she's really enjoyed all of them, specifically the 3D modeling and coding. And she likes the writing and the debate.
There's so many new ones popping up.
There are so many new ones, and she enjoys all of them. And she gets on and she learns new things, and she interacts. The science club, Right. I said debate.
Does she feel like, I mean, she's participating in a lot of them. Does she feel a little overwhelmed at all? Because sometimes I hear that, because Aubrey, my daughter, was trying everything and then she kind of got a little burned out. She was doing too much, but maybe that's
Right.
just
I do feel that that is the same thing that's happened here. And I think that it is technically summer break here. And so I'm encouraging her to find that balance, especially for the summer, so it can maybe feel fresh when the fall comes around. And that maybe she can just pick a few. I think at the beginning, everything was so exciting. She wanted to try out everything. And it's all still very high quality. I think that maybe she's just feeling like, oh, maybe I need to, pick the ones that are the most important to me.
Yeah.
And I think that that's good, because I think the only drawback that could be in this setting is too much screen time. And I think that, to encourage her to find that balance where, for the sake of her physical body's well-being, and then also being able to be out in nature and do other things, I think that that's the only thing that we're trying to be conscientious of, to find a really healthy balance. I think that at the beginning of COVID, we were just like, whatever, like the parents, we're all kind of like stressed about what's going on in the world. Go be online, be with your friends, figure something out. And I think that was perfect. And I think now that maybe a little bit of that has subsided, we're like, hey, maybe we can get out and about a little bit more. So I think we have to just find that balance. But
yeah. And for everyone to know, Galileo is a year-round school, and families can take breaks whenever you wish, whether you want to take a break during the summer or cut back during the summer, or, not show up during Christmas time or Chinese New Year or whatever holiday you choose, because we have students in 25 countries all over the world. So that's why we're one of the reasons we are year-round. So do you think that's a good thing, or do you think it'd be better to have like semesters or something?
No, I think it's perfect to be year-round, because honestly, I think what has become very apparent is that learning is a way of life. And I don't think that there's like a time for learning and then a time to shun learning. Like, I feel like learning is constantly happening. And we're recognizing that. And I think that for her to continue to read books during the summer, or be inquisitive about other countries or geography, like, we don't have to confine that to September to June. Like, there's no reason to have a mindset that you can't learn all year. And so I think that the classes that Galileo provides are just fun classes. I mean, it's not following a curriculum. Yeah. So it doesn't feel like the negative aspects of being.
And there's no testing. They don't have to stress for the test. Okay, so she was involved with a homeschooling community in Los Angeles, before you joined Galileo, and now it's, we're online. It's an online community of other students. How is that working for her? Is she making friends? Does she like it?
Yes, she loves making friends on Galileo. She loves the morning check-in and seeing the same kids every day. And then she's also made another friend in Seattle, and they seem to spend an awful lot of time together. And I think that it's awesome because they get ideas from one another to learn about things that maybe they hadn't done before, or to read books together, or to explore any number of topics where she feels that it's like-minded, where they're kind of just having fun learning. And I just love that. So the community of seeing the same people throughout the week is, I think, one of the greatest parts about Galileo, because nothing against OutSchool, but that's not what OutSchool is trying to do. OutSchool, you might see a teacher or a group of students for a number of weeks, but then you kind of don't see them again unless something out of the ordinary happens. So with this platform of Galileo, it is genuinely a community, and she's getting to know the teachers, and she's getting to know the students, as am I. And so it feels that she's part of something, and she wants to travel and see her friends that live in other parts of the world. And so that is, I would say one of the highlights, because she's very social.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised how my daughters, would hit it off with somebody in a check-in or a club, and then later on they're having their own Zoom meeting together and working on some kind of screenplay or animation or something. They're working on these amazing projects together. And I truly believe that, our kids will grow up and launch real projects together, and businesses and companies together. So they're starting at a very young age on that. Okay, so is there anything surprising about her experience with Galileo, something that you didn't anticipate?
I didn't anticipate that she would want to start getting up even earlier. Like, I mean, it's the summer, and so she has this one friend though who gets up early. So I think they've decided to get up early and have their own pre-check-in check-in.
Wow.
So they can go over what they're doing. And then so it surprised me that she's wanted to get up early. So
wow.
We are sleeping in much later than she is, and she's getting up and listening to her audiobooks and making her bed and having her breakfast. So, and she said, oh, I feel like I live like on my own or something when she's up by herself. So I think that it's giving her a taste of some forms of independence. And I think that Galileo has provided her an opportunity to kind of explore her independence more, and especially because we're getting more and more comfortable backing off and allowing her to take things into her own hands a little bit more.
Okay, so is there anything that you think Galileo can improve on? Any new clubs or any new activities or different ways that we could do things to help Avila with her learning?
The only thing that I can think of that she mentioned to me is that she would love a history class. She would love a place to discuss and talk about history. And the other thing that she mentioned is that because I think it's trying to be self-directed, it's not coming, there's assignments, it's not being taught, which is a good thing. And I think sometimes she feels like she wouldn't mind a little bit more instruction, like a little bit, I don't know if she's saying assignments so much as just more teaching, maybe, if that makes sense.
We are looking at having challenges, you know, like become fluent in Spanish in 3 months, or launch a podcast in 3 months, or, you know, write a book and publish it on Amazon in 3 months, like crazy challenges. So we think that'll be a fun way to really motivate kids to go deep into whatever they're passionate about instead of grades, you know. So we are looking at doing that.
Right.
Definitely. Okay. So
I think that would be great.
Isn't that cool? So what, I'm sure you have a bunch of friends, homeschooling friends and unschooling friends and whatever. What type of families do you think would fit in well with Galileo? What type of families do you think should check us out?
Right. I've given that a lot of thought. And I think that families that are on the path to understanding what self-directed learning is would be most suited for this, because it would be a good fit as they're not completely, you know, already there, but just on a path of understanding that a child's interests are really valid and it might turn into their whole life passion, and to not disregard those in preference for a state-sponsored curriculum. So I think that people that are open to understanding that kids have this great ability to learn things that they're interested in, and parents that are willing to maybe release the reins a bit or a lot to let the kids have the time. You know, I think time's a big thing, that they have the time to find their own interests, and that they have the support in place from the parents. Maybe the parents that are willing to be in a supportive role rather than like a top-down teacher role, I think. And also kids that are, you know, wanting to take a little bit more interest in directing what they're doing, and that they would be really happy to explore what that means for them. I think those would be the families that fit the best. Yeah.
No, that's amazing. And, you know, we like to call it self-directed learning, but another way to call it is unschooling. And I know we had chatted before that unschooling doesn't mean like neglecting your kid and letting them do whatever they want. It's you're still involved, you know, and you're still facilitating their learning. You're still guiding and, you know, helping them figure out what they're into, you know, like really knowing your kids. You can't just ignore them. You need to be there as a support for them. So do you think that is something that many parents would be interested, or you think that sounds like too much work, or what do you think? Because you've transitioned from being the homeschool mom to like more of a unschooling, facilitating, self-directed learning mom.
Well, I have to say, I almost feel like I've gotten out of a job here because this is a lot less work for me. There's a lot less that I'm required to prepare and present to her, now. And I think that it's good for her to be able to really find that stuff on her own. But back to the idea about the unschooling, I think that term has meant different things to me, and maybe it does to other people too, that sometimes it does feel more synonymous with like just letting the kids do whatever they want without a lot of structure. And I think there can be a whole spectrum of people and what unschooling means to them. And I think that the term self-directed learning really just strikes me as a really good description of what's going on in our family, because I think that we always have had structure. You go to bed here, you get up, you eat, you take care of yourself, and that you are responsible. And I think that's one of the things that Galileo actually reinforces with a morning check-in, is that, you are expected to be there and to show up and bring your best self and to have things on your agenda. Nobody's telling you what to put on your schedule, right, but that you would have some things on your schedule that you would be able to honor that you do them. So I like how it works hand in hand with what the child wants to do, but yet there's also that peer accountability to actually do what you said you were going to do. Yeah. And I think that that's really helpful to teach the kids some level of motivation and self-responsibility, and just that there are things that you can accomplish if you stick to it and if you really work at it. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I really like that.
I've told my girls that, we're choosing this self-directed learning path, but mommy has my job, and their job is to learn something. They can choose what they want to learn, but they still have to be working towards something and learning something, and not just goofing off all day. And there are days when we goof off, there are totally days that we're just doing whatever we feel like. But then there are other times when, they need to put in the work and the learning work. I don't like to call it homework. We call it learning work, but they realize that, and, but luckily they get to choose what they focus their time on, and so it's kind of a win-win. And I don't know, I look at the stuff that Avila is working on, podcasts and websites and all of that. Those are like the future. Those are not the future jobs. Those are the present jobs, right? The present jobs that people have, versus like the academic stuff, which I'm sure she'll be fine with anyway. But it's amazing that, she's going to probably launch something amazing in the future. Has she talked about like college yet, or does she want to launch a business instead, or do something more as a creative freelancer? Has she talked about like maybe what she might want to do when she grows up?
I know. Well, she does have a lot of creative energy, so I do think that it would be something along the lines of creating beautiful things to share. I don't know in what form that would take, and I think that, the world's wide open, and she really does have a knack, I think, for learning things when it comes to technology. And so I think that that's a really helpful skill for the future, because I think that we have talked about college, and I think that she can absolutely go to college if she wants to, and we want to help her to have those opportunities. And I think at the same time that she might be making money before she ever even gets to college. I mean, there are so many opportunities now, and the restrictions, I feel, have been removed. And I feel, especially with this reevaluation of what it means to be educated, and do you have to go to a facility for that? Can you do that at home? Can you do that online? Like, all of this stuff is being questioned, and I think that can end up being really helpful for the kids as they grow up, and that they can be literate in these other ways, and to be able to make websites and YouTube channels and podcasts. And also I liked how the presentation class was teaching her how to give a presentation online and how to speak clearly, and all these are really important skills. So I think that they can funnel into really anything that she could imagine.
Yeah, exactly. Great. Well, she's an amazing student for us. I mean, she's such a great fit with us. And we hope with this video, more families will watch us and want to give Galileo a try. And I wanted to mention, anyone who watches Wendy's video, if you join Galileo within the next 30 days, you get $100 off your first month's tuition. So let us know that you watched this video and check out our website, galileoxp.com. I also have a pretty long Q&A video on our website that you can find. It'll probably answer most of your questions about how Galileo works. It's myself and a few other moms that are talking about how Galileo works, and they asked me a bunch of questions. So check out that video. We also have many other Meet Our Parents webinars like this one. So get in touch with me if you have any other questions, but I so appreciate, Wendy, you joining us. And I think you and Avila, your whole family is just such an amazing part of our Galileo family. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you. We're so happy to be